Hey y'all. Okay, so one of the things that I said I was going to do was share some of my Mexican food little hack work. It's 5 o'clock, and if I happen to work a little bit later, then it's 5:15. Takes me 15 minutes to get home. By the time I cook and everything, usually it's about 7:15 when we sit down to eat. So I don't have time to grind the corn and take it to the mill for them to grind it up and pat out tortillas or anything crazy. But I'm married to a Mexican, so I have to try to fake it. My husband showed me how to make those beans. He just, coming from Texas, a lot of what we used was powdered spices. And one day he had a talk with me and he said, I don't understand why you're putting all that powder in there. He said every vegetable that you put in our food, like a tomato, an onion, a jalapeno, a garlic, all of those things have a flavor. So why are you using powders on top of that? He said, let your, add a little bit of salt and let the flavor come out of the food. That's what he likes. So anyway, everything I cook is a little bit natural, like not a whole lot of spices. So anyway, let me show you what I've got going on here. So I always use a lid, and I always use a stainless steel pot. This is my favorite one. Anyway, what I did was I took chicken, sorry about that, took chicken tenderloins, and I put some canola oil in there. That is not all canola oil. It's like juices or something also. But anyway, I've been cooking my chicken tenderloins for a little while just to brown them. So I always cook with a lid because, again, I'm always in a hurry. And I've literally been cooking them probably about 10 minutes. They're probably not completely cooked yet, but they're pretty dang close. So anyway, I just cooked those down a little bit. I took some canola oil and I browned them, let them brown on one side, flipped them over, put the lid back on, and they've been cooking for about 10 or 12 minutes. And now I've turned my fire off while I cut up my veggies. So anyway, I'm going to put the lid back on there just so if there's any heat, it'll be contained and it'll keep cooking it. And then the veggies that I'm using are, oh, this is another cheat. I use minced garlic. Real Mexican women, let me turn this. Real Mexican women use real garlic, fresh garlic. I don't care. I don't have time for that. So I use minced garlic, and I put in maybe about a teaspoon. We use a lot of garlic. So anyway, I use minced garlic, Roma tomatoes. I use jalapenos. You don't have to, or you could use one or two or whatever. And then I'm going to use a whole white onion. So anyway, I'm going to chop up all these veggies, and then, how will I do this? I guess I'm going to have a video part 2. Anyway. Right. And then the veggies that I'm using are, oh, this is another cheat. I use minced garlic. Real Mexican women, let me turn this. Real Mexican women use real garlic, fresh garlic. I don't care. I don't have time for that. So I use minced garlic, and I put in maybe about a teaspoon. We use a lot of garlic. So anyway, I use minced garlic, Roma tomatoes. I use jalapenos. You don't have to, or you could use one or two or whatever. And then I'm going to use a whole... Hey, y'all. Okay, so I don't really know how this is going to work just yet because, and you may hear that water dripping. It's because it is a blizzard outside. It's like 40 below zero, and I'm not taking any chances at my pipes freezing. So I just let the water run. I know they say to let it drip, but I let it run. Whatever. I also need to go have my eyebrows threaded really bad, and it's showing up in this video, but I don't really care because now it is 3:25 and Rogelio gets off at 3:30, and I've been messing around all day, and I happen to be home from work today, so he's probably going to expect some kind of major Mexican meal, and like I said, I'm not good at that. So this is what I did instead. So anyway, y'all already know that I browned my, whatever, browned my stuff. And I don't know why it looks like there's a lot of canola oil in there, but there wasn't that much. Now I've cut up all my veggies. So I've cut up all my Roma tomatoes, my onion, and my jalapenos, and I have my thing there. So like I said, I use a lot of garlic. So this is an entire teaspoonish thing of minced garlic. And then I'm also going to add some salt. And I'm kind of generous with the salt because tomato sauce is salty. So I'm turning my fire back on, and I'm turning it on pretty high for now because I'm going to get all this stuff good and hot. And I'm just going to mix it all around. So you can do this with any kind of meat. I do it with beef that's cut up like that in strips, or chicken. And I always use chicken tenderloin because, again, I said I work and I don't have time for a big fat chicken breast to cook. But if I use these little tenderloins, I can literally have them done in like I have all my dinner done in about 20 or 30 minutes. I use my spatula to cut it up, but anyway, so now this has garlic, salt, tomato, onion, jalapenos, the chicken, and salt. I don't know if I already said that. And canola oil. So anyway, I'm going to heat that up. And then one other thing that I use quite often is this chicken Knorr. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that, but I use a crap out of this stuff. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit of that, just because this chicken doesn't have a lot of fat, so it doesn't have a lot of flavor. That juice that came out just wasn't really enough. And I also don't really measure, so I just sprinkle a little bit of that. And I am not going to add any water. Sometimes I do, but I'm not, because when those tomatoes and onions and all that start cooking down, they're going to create their own juice. So I actually don't, sorry, I was putting that up. I don't add water, but what I do is I put my lid back on and I let that get really good and hot. My flame is pretty high. Sorry, this pan is so old. I use the crap out of this one pot. A whole lot of magic comes out of this one pot. But anyway, so I let my flame get pretty high to where the food gets really hot, and then turn it down to about medium or low and let it just keep simmering. And then I'm going to show you in a minute what it's going to look like when it's done cooking. So the whole time I've just got it there simmering. I'm going to move it around with my spatula, and this part of it should probably take maybe about 15 minutes. So anyway, I'll show you when I'm done. By the way, if you don't like spicy food, leave the jalapenos out, but you could still follow this whole method. And we did it the other day because we were out of jalapenos, which is really weird because we normally buy, a few pounds of them a week. But anyway, we were out of it, and the sauce was great by itself. So anyway, I wanted to show y'all how it's making its own juice. See, I haven't added any water at all, but it's been cooking now for probably 5 minutes, maybe not even that long. And look at all the juice that it's producing. So that is helping all of this stuff get soft and start to cook. And anyway, whenever I cut the veggies also, I cut them very chunky because I want it to be chunky when we eat it. But they're going to be so cooked down that you won't even be able to tell that. So anyway, it's been about 5 minutes, and I'm going to put the lid back on. I just moved it around a little bit. Fire is still high. It's still very high. So anyway, okay, we will see what happens. I'll show y'all in a bit what happens now. Hey y'all, so I was in the middle of cooking and realized that, oh my God, look. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, lighting.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what's happening to my car. Oh my god. This might have been a bad idea. Anyway, I realized I don't have corn tortillas. So I'm headed to the Mexican store, which was pretty close. So I thought this would be a harmless little ride, but it is. I'm going to pull up just like that person. Hopefully I don't slide.
So I'm at the store where I buy my tortillas, but I thought I would let y'all see some neat stuff in this store. This is like where we buy our red chilies, but this right here is a tea called agua de Jamaica. I'll have to teach y'all how to make that someday. But there are all kinds of spices in here. Look, lemon pepper. That's like the real deal, y'all. All kinds of stuff. Look, even sprinkles. Look. Comino, that's cumin in Spanish, but it's the actual little leaves.
Hey y'all, the reason that I go to that Mexican store or any Mexican store to go get the tortillas is just this brand called Milagro, and they're in the refrigerated section. And I love getting those tortillas. The flavor of them is really close, not really, but it's like the closest flavor that we can get around here to the tortillas that they eat in Mexico because they're ground like from fresh corn.
Okay, so I haven't opened my pot yet. I want to do it with y'all. But the house smells great. So I've got the beans going that I'm cooking in the crock pot, and then this food. So I'm gonna love that Rogelio's gonna come home, and he's gonna. Oh, sorry, I thought that was him. It's now 4:01. So I started this all at 3:25 or something like that, right? So I'm thinking that the ice and snow might be slowing him down. He has to drive about 30 minutes and then drop off his truck at the shop, pick up his personal truck, and then come home. So looks like I'm doing good. So anyway, we're gonna see how this looks. Wow, that looks great, guys. Look. So all this stuff is cooking down so good, and it's been cooking low. Had I had the temp on about medium, it would have cooked even more. Also, another great alternative, not alternative really, but addition to this that you could add is zucchini. I love to add zucchini to this and cook it down like that. It is so good. But there is so much juice in there, and I never added any water. Nor did I ever add any other spice. Because the tomatoes, onions, garlic, jalapenos, and salt, the salt just enhances the flavor of the natural veggies. So, I like to cut up my meat just a little bit more like that. But anyway, I do this, like I can be cooking this stuff and then just moving on with my life and doing other stuff all the time. I do it all the time. Like, obviously, I'm ADD. Y'all probably noticed that already, even just during this video. So I'm always doing a million things while cooking. That does result in some burnt food occasionally. But for the most part, it's just good. So I'm going to put the lid back on. And I'm going to turn up my fire just a bit, because now that everything's soft, I'm actually going to want to cook some of that juice out, like dry it up a little bit. So I'm turning on my flame a little bit higher, and I'm going to start heating up my pan for my tortillas, because I don't just serve tortillas out of a packet or in the microwave. I use a pan, which in normally people have. Okay, guys, So I have the chicken on high now, and I'm touching my hair a lot. I don't normally do that. It's just I've got this camera in front of me, and it's making me a little conscious. Now, this is my state of mind every single day when I'm cooking. I'm stressed. I'm in a hurry. Don't have time for any crap. Lord have mercy. Don't have time for any crap. So anyway, I wanted to show you. I took the lid off now, and I'm letting this like cook really high because it's too juicy. Now, somebody might like it like that. It's just up to you. You can have it however you want. But I did taste the salt. Sauce. Another thing I did when I wasn't on camera was when I tasted it, I felt like it needed just a tad of the cumin. And so this is what I used. And I literally just put like not even a fourth of a teaspoon. It would have been more like an eighth of a teaspoon. So I'm going to leave my lid off. I've got a piece of foil right here because I'm going to start warming up my tortillas. So I've got them over here. They're those Milagro tortillas. That means miracle, by the way. And I'm going to put them, my pan is good and hot. So I'm going to do 4 at a time. Now, if you don't like the flavor of corn, you can always do flour. But a flour tortilla is 6 points on Weight Watchers. So anyway, I let these get good and soft, and then throw them in that foil and close the foil down so they'll stay warm. And then when I'm done warming up all of them, I sometimes will put them in a Ziploc bag if he's not going to be here for a little while, or if I'm not going to serve for a little while. If not, I just put those on a plate and put them directly on the table. And then, like, I will end up serving, which I'll show y'all later, a little bit of this meat on the plate and a little bit of beans. You could also make rice if you wanted to. I'm not making rice today, but you could make rice and have that on the side. You can also add some kind of white cheese to this, like Monterey Jack or something like that. Because of the fact that I'm on Weight Watchers, the cheese is extra points. So I may do that for him, but I won't do it for myself. But if you made the, if you added the cheese, and rice, it'd be kind of like the cheesy chicken and rice that you get at a Mexican restaurant. So anyway, this meat, once it starts drying up just a tad, will be the consistency that it needs to be scooped up by tortillas. So you'll kind of slop up the juice and eat the meat like you would use a biscuit for gravy. That's what you'll do with the tortilla. Anyway, and my tortillas over here are looking kind of funny, so I know there's time to turn them. And this does burn my fingers, but I try to be tough. So anyway, I'm warming them up on both sides and they get real soft. Hey y'all, it's done. Now the time right now is 4:28. That was a long time. But there was a lot of shenanigans going on in between. Like I had to go to the store, so I turned down my fire. At one point I had to go to the bathroom, so I turned down my fire. And then I went outside to watch a truck that was stuck in the snow, so I turned down the fire. So anyway, but the consistency now of the juice is like dry, pretty much. It's got a little bit of juice in it, but very little. And now it's just kind of stuck to the meat. This is great meat for tacos. And like I said, you can make rice with it. I chose to make pinto beans just because, again, I'm on Weight Watchers. And right now, in that, aside from the canola oil, which was about 2 tablespoons for the entire pot, and the chicken tenderloins, which are free if you're on a certain plan in Weight Watchers, there's nothing else in there that could hurt you because all the veggies are free. And the beans are also free depending on which color you're doing in Weight Watchers. So it's a really low point meal, and that's good for me. But aside from that, it's good. And Rogelio, like, doesn't even realize that we're eating diet food whenever I serve him like that. Like I said, I can put cheese on his, and that would increase the points for me, but for him, he'll just like it. The tortillas are only 1 point each when it's this brand, so that's always good. So anyway, I will try to see if he'll let me take his picture when he's eating it. That's a long shot, guys, so you may not ever see him take a first bite, but I will take a picture of the plate.